This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a cover world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts in 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts in 3 Counts starts now.
Oh, what up? No, he's got to flip his face around, but we've got the return of our homie Josh Fremd from the UFC. We also are supposed to have another cameo with our guy, the Savage Gentleman Victor Benjamin, who seems to have a little bit of an issue with our guy Bulletproof Troop, which we'll get to at some point. But we are back to talk about all things MMA. We're going to talk about some Steelers and how you bastards fucked up my parlay last weekend.
Let's go!
Fuck that. They fucked up my money up. Baltimore, you had one job and you fucked it up. But this man's got a job inside of the 24/7 championship fighting cage, who we just saw past guest of the show, Calvin Hero Harbaugh, go down there to fight for one of their straps. He's going to be stepping in there in a grappling match alongside our other guests for tonight if he comes through, the Savage Gentleman Victor Benjamin. So without any further ado, what's new in the world of Josh Fremd, man?
What is up, guys? Honestly, nothing new. Just 3 weeks removed from my last fight. Just been chilling, really. Got back to the gym this week. I'm feeling, I needed that little break and hop back into the fray once again. This time I just wanted to go home and I had an opportunity to go grapple, make some money, see some friends. So let's go do some jiu-jitsu,
That was my first thought when I seen it come across the notes, was like, oh, of course he gets the chance to go home, like you say, get paid, make a couple bucks, and just go for a grappling event. You get that competition itch out of you a little bit too. It's it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Oh yeah,
staying active.
Got to. You can't taking breaks in this. It's not ideal. I only have a short window in life to do this, so I'm going to do it as much as I can.
So with that said, I mean, like you said, we're 3 weeks out from your last fight. Obviously didn't go the way that you would have liked it to, but now that you've had some time to kind of reassess, I know you're a guy that likes to watch film and stuff after the fights. What are your thoughts on the fight, and what are your biggest takeaways now that you're a little bit removed from it?
Honestly, dude, I'm right there. I feel like I'm right there. I'm just so close to turning this corner. And I mean, Roman's good. Roman is good as shit. So I am taking nothing away from that guy. I don't care if it was short notice or short notice for him too. Like, he's a savage when it comes to striking and MMA. So I just got to do my part, get back on the grind, go out there and put it on the next couple guys, and show my worth and show people, hey, I mean, Roman's good as shit. So
yeah, I just went back and watched that fight just before we went live. And to your point, I feel like early in that first round, before he was able to land some of those body shots, I felt like you were really leading the dance. Even the commentators and stuff were noting that as well, that you were doing real good work with your jab, with your footwork, keeping that outside foot on the outside. I mean, you were doing a really good job until, unfortunately, the body shots kind of seemed like they started to add up.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I haven't really said any of this, but I don't have a natural southpaw as a teammate or someone to work with. So just having that type of speed come at me from there, yeah, I went back and I saw a couple body shots that I don't even remember landing. So props to him. Kid's fast as shit. I'm going to go get back in the lab and get better.
I mean, and that's the biggest thing, man. Like, I saw a lot of the backlash you were getting on social media with people talking shit because, you lost a fight. But here's the thing. I mean, we've had you on before you got in the UFC. We've had you on since you've gotten in the UFC. You've never been a guy, from what I've seen, to take fights, easy fights by any means. I mean, this is a guy who's fighting for the LFA championship, doing the FAC thing before you got into the UFC, and then now, you've had nothing but tough fights since you've come into the UFC. I mean, is that one of the biggest things you've noticed as a difference since you've got into the UFC as opposed to fighting on the regional scene, is all the keyboard warriors and all that kind of stuff? And does any of that stuff really bother you?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said it didn't bother me at all, but I do my best to not pay attention to it. I can kind of sift through the bullshit, and I'm a realist at the end of the day. I think that's a problem with me here. I think a lot of the really good guys are delusional, and I need to somehow become more delusional. But no, I'm able to sift through it, and it doesn't bother me in that aspect. But I do know internally, man, I just got to get better. That's it. I just got to get better. That's all.
Kyle, it's funny you bring up the fucking Twitter people, because I was just having a conversation earlier with people, and it's like, you watch these guys on TV, you cheer for these guys, you watch the build up, the follow up, everything, and then they lose, and you see those same fucking people like, oh, he should have did this. He should, like, motherfucker, you have done nothing. You know what I mean? Like, the liver shot's undefeated, bro. I don't care what anybody says.
I got hit with one of those in a boxing fight, and I've said for years, bro, it's the worst punch I've ever taken in my life.
I jokingly got hit in the liver one time, and I thought I was dead. I just thought I was gonna die. So I can't imagine it being in the cage against somebody skilled. You know what I mean? Like, fuck those people, man. I hate seeing shit like that. You know, and like we said, you've been a stand-up guy. Every time you're on the show, it sucks to see people say dumb shit online, but I guess that's why they're online and you're in the cage. So
I mean, that's what we signed up for, you know. Even with Yin's guys, like, probably people shitting on you with doing your show and everything. Like,
no shit.
We put ourselves out there. We are literally asking for it. So you got to be able to roll with it, you know.
Yeah, that's why you got the middle finger, you know. That's why you have one of these.
You know, old Stone Cold taught you best, man. Just flip him the bird,
right.
and you're gonna be all right. Speaking of shows and all that stuff, man, tell me what's new with comments from the Peanut Gallery, bro. I check out some of your guys' stuff every once in a while. Are you still going strong with that stuff?
Yeah, well, back on the air. This time we are on Tuesdays at noon out here Mountain Time for an hour during the afternoon. We're getting that back up and running again. He's been, killing it. I don't know if you have seen this. Maybe you can give him some trash for me. But the guy won't wear a shirt anymore. He went on this new diet. He's going through life, and he just hit a corner, and he's hitting the diet, the working out, the jiu-jitsu and everything. You can't get this guy to put a shirt on. Please tell this man to put a shirt on.
I mean, when you do all that work to get a six-pack and all that stuff, man, you know, I mean, maybe he's taking notes from Razor Ramon.
Maybe.
Hell yeah, man. I like it. I definitely let everybody know. We'll let everybody know where they can check that out towards the end of the show. But tell me about the reason why we've got you guys here today. Like I said, again, we are supposed to be joined by the Savage Gentleman, Victor Benjamin, as well. So we'll see if he pops in. He's currently exploring Disney World, which is a lot better than being in this cold ass weather that I'm in here in Detroit. So I'm not exactly mad at you for that. So with that being said, stay tuned. I'm sure that he's got a few things to say about Bulletproof Troop. But for you, I mean, how much do you like getting to compete in a scenario like this where you're getting to have, a grappling match and stuff like that? We've seen a lot more of that shown on the major stage, like with the UFC Fight Pass Invitationals and that kind of stuff as well. Being a fellow jiu-jitsu guy myself, I always loved competing, whether it was fighting or in a situation like this where it's a jiu-jitsu tournament. So does this give you the opportunity to kind of just get your feet wet, or is this something you plan to do a lot more of even in between your next fights?
No, it's something that I've always wanted to do. And be honest with you, I haven't competed in a jiu-jitsu match tournament since my last, I think, High Rollers tournament out in LA.
Shout out to Big Lon.
It's been a minute. So I don't have anything on the books as of a fight for right now, and it was an opportunity. I want to get home for the holidays. I want to get home for, I haven't seen my family in forever, so just gives me a nice reason, to go home, make it a business trip, get a couple write-offs, and go see some family and make some money, compete, see all my old friends, training partners. I thought it'd be a good thing. So gladly 247 had an opportunity. You know, I had a couple guys. I said yes to everyone. Just I don't care if I win or lose. It's a grappling match. Like I'm just gonna go out here and work. And luckily I got someone to say yes, and we're gonna go have ourselves a little jiu-jitsu match.
Okay, so going into this as opposed to a fight, do you find yourself watching a lot of tape on this guy to see what he likes to do, or do you don't give a shit? We're gonna fly by the seat of our pants.
I have no idea who this cat is. He looks cool. Everyone that I know from Pittsburgh, like he's trained in Pittsburgh for a few months or something, but he's originally a Louisiana boy from what I know. He seems like a cool dude. I'll have a beer with him afterwards. I don't care. I just want to go in and go do some jiu-jitsu in front of some friends that I haven't got to compete in front of in a long time.
I like it. Are we going to see a twister? Are we going leg lock games? Are we taking people's limbs home? How's this one going to play out?
I mean, hopefully I choke him. That'd be pretty cool. Since I am in the UFC and I have my teammate, not my teammate, but my friend Dalton, he's in Bellator. There are no heel hooks, but I think straight attacks work, but you know, you don't want to damage anything for a career. So no heel hooks or anything like that.
That's better. I know that was one of the rules I heard the UFC kind of instilled. If they're allowing their athletes to compete, they can't really go for the leg lock game because, to your point, they don't want to see. I think it was Cub Swanson or somebody that was in a grappling tournament and got their ACL blown out or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. So I'm glad that's a thing.
Well, with that being said, man, you mentioned Bellator. I got to get your thoughts. We just saw Bellator 300. There's all the talk of what's going down with Bellator and possibly being bought out from PFL and all that. What do you think?
You saw Bellator 300?
I did.
And I didn't even know what was going on. I had no idea what was. See? I didn't know it was on until the.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. That sucks. I don't know what's gonna happen with it. Like I said, I have a couple friends who are in Bellator. I fought for Bellator before. Like, it's gonna suck either way, whether they dissolve or whether PFL buys them. But I hope PFL buys them and a couple of those guys can move over to that division. It just sucks because it gives way to. There's no other promotions out there like Bellator, PFL, the UFC, One Championship. You want to have multiple huge platforms for these guys to fight. So it just takes away an option for people, and that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they put on great shows. It's not like they put on bad I mean, I don't know. Granted, they need to do a better job promoting it because Kyle, honestly, until you just brought it up, I forgot it happened. So it's like,
well, and think about that. You had Chris Cyborg fighting. You had Nurmagomedov fighting.
Yeah,
you had what, 3 title fights. Carmouche defended her title fight on there too, and nobody knew about it.
So it's not like they have a shortage of talent. It's just, I think it's just the logistics, man. I don't know. Somebody's going to step in.
Well, Showtime wants out of combat sports. Like Showtime already said that they're getting rid of boxing and everything at the end of the year. So Showtime wants out of combat sports, period. But I mean, I couldn't agree with you more as far as Bellator. I mean, dude, I've been following Bellator since the days they were on like MTV2 and shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've had, I don't know how many of the homies have fought for them. I've been to, I don't know how many of their fights. It definitely will be sad if it just dissolves. But at this point, I mean, the only thing I could hope for the betterment of MMA and everything as a whole, dude, like I hope that the PFL thing does happen, or maybe they keep Bellator as like a separate league or whatever, however they do it. But if I were PFL, like you said, there's so much talent in Bellator. Like, listen, like I just was saying, I mean, you could literally go down every weight class and take the top 5 and they would be just as probably the best, some of the best people that they've got in PFL. And especially when you're running a format where you're having all this, the tournament and the $1 million and all that stuff, that's a way to be able to keep your fights good throughout a tournament versus where they keep running into a problem where it's like they're burning through these guys before you get to, the finals of a tournament or whatever the case. I think if things go the way they're looking and Bellator gets, Bellator gets bought by PFL, I think that opens the door for PFL to have a lot more legitimate of a roster, I think, in a lot of ways. So I hope for that sake that that's the way it plays off, because I mean, it would make PFL a better option, but at least, like you said, at least some of those guys are going to be not without a job. Because I mean, dude, there's so many guys on that Bellator, but guys and girls on that Bellator roster.
Much talent over there.
Well, I've said it here on the show before. I think that the best option if you're a PFL and you do end up doing the whole merger deal and stuff like that is you pick and kind of pluck the athletes that you want and you bring those over into your tournament format. From there, you continue to run Bellator as PFL USA or whatever, because they already have the PFL Europe series. And I feel like that's the big thing that PFL's missing is the continuance of shows. They do the 3 shows a month, and then it's like 2 months off. Then they do the 3 shows again. Then it's the playoffs, and then it's the finals. And then after that, it's roughly 6 to 8 months off where you just don't hear about PFL for an extended period of time. I feel like they could really do a good job of filling that gap if they purchase somebody like Bellator and just continue to run more shows during their off time. Mm-hmm. You know, like I had mentioned on the show last time, they don't need to run 4 cards a month like the UFC is doing. But if you just did 2 a month and made Fridays Bellator nights where everybody's tuned into Bellator, even if it is a weekend where you're trying to compete with the UFC, you have your own night locked in where you can have viewership on your own, you know, format. So I feel like that's what you have to do if you're going to be able, if you're PFL and you want to actually compete in this dense and kind of monopolized market to a large degree. I feel like that's what you got to do is you got to continue to push out the content.
Right.
It's gonna be interesting.
We can't be the smartest guys around here, right? Somebody's got to be thinking of this shit, right? If not, Corey, you just put in for a job, right?
Give me the pedensal, right?
If I'm in the smartest any room, that's very.
Either way, man, I hope we see more of these guys because there's a lot of good fights that are left to be had there. Speaking of good fights that are left to be had, I mean, son of a bitch, we've had quite the 24 hours in the world of the UFC and all those things. But before we hop over to the UFC side of things and we talk about all that, I did say that I was going to give you a chance to talk about them bastard ass Steelers that fucked up my parlay last week. But I know you're a football guy, my dude. How are you feeling about the NFL season so far?
The division leading Steelers. Let's start there. Right?
It's all good. My Lions are leading the division too. All right.
I was going to say, yeah, Detroit's actually good. The Steelers are not good. How they're in the first place, I'll never know. But hey, it was a sloppy game, but we won. They won, and congrats to them. Congrats to George Pickens because he's an absolute dog. Fire Matt Canada. I think football season's amazing. I think that it's been such a fun year so far. We're only in week 5, week 6 coming up. Hell yeah, man! I think the Niners are gonna take it all. Honestly.
Oh.
They've been looking like the team to stop for sure. They've
and it's fucked up that you say it's fucked up. You say the Niners too, just so you know that because all I needed for this parlay to work was I had the Lions to win, and I had Montgomery to score a touchdown. Well, he did a lot of those, and then I had Christian McCaffrey to score a touchdown, which that happened too. But then again, the bastard ass Ravens had to go fuck it up.
Literally, they dropped it. They dropped that should have been a 3-score game. There should have been a blowout.
Who are you telling?
Goddamn football.
I mean, they started out hot. They were up 17-0 at one point.
I know. Yes, they were up 17-0, and I'm like, hell yeah, money in the bank. And then it wasn't.
It was 10-0.
They should
have been up like 21-0. Like they should have absolutely destroyed us, but like I was saying, have you seen the way Christian McCaffrey has been running? Like,
oh my god, it's ridiculous.
He stands up like a goddamn robot. Does like a little.
He's a fucking cheat code.
Like would absolutely kill a lesser man. It's crazy.
That was my exact thought. I was watching the them versus Dallas the other night, and I just watched him get leveled. And he, like you said, he just stood up, just kind of did a little like shimmy and was right back into the huddle like nothing happened. I'm like, dude, like you just got fucking laid out. At least
Yeah.
step out for a play or something. You know, let the backup running back come catch it. Nope, gonna stay back there and pass block.
No plays off, dude. No plays off.
Or maybe the one, what was it? With Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, the one with the metal, like hands up, like cracks back into place, and he continues walking, like just crazy.
Yeah,
he's a beast, man.
I hope for their sake that he can stay healthy this year because I feel like he's been the real differentiating factor in their offense. I feel like they're a great team. They lose McCaffrey and they're a good team. Yeah.
I'm cool with them being healthy all year, just as long as once we get to them in the playoffs, maybe you can blow out a leg or something. I'm cool with that.
I'm not going to hold you up. As a Lions fan, I think one of my favorite things that I've seen this year is the fact that for the first time since probably Barry, we've actually got a legitimate running game that can actually run the ball. And you got a guy in Montgomery who's not afraid to not only get hit, but runs motherfuckers over. I'm just saying,
the Lions are doing good for America, all right, man. Everything's looking good. The sun's brighter. The crime rate's down. People are happier. Lions are gonna fucking.
They sold out a blue ski mask.
It's
you got yourselves a poor man's Matt Ryan. So
yeah, dude.
Here we go.
I'll tell you one thing, though. Listen, I'll tell you one thing. If we end up making it to the Super Bowl, the entire state better just shut down for a national holiday. Because one, you ain't gonna have no fucking buddy at work next day anyway. Nobody's going to work, and if we win, nobody's gonna sleep anyway. So the whole state's just gonna be a party. Kids shouldn't be.
Oh, dude! If we actually won the Super Bowl, Detroit, bro,
everything.
It's amazing.
It's gonna be a riot here, dude.
Like the team starts to actually do good, and it's amazing how fast. To your point, J-Bone, literally, I feel like you watch SportsCenter or anything, you watch NFL Game Pass or anything like that. Anytime the analysts are on, it feels like they're talking about how the Lions are this feel-good story for America and stuff like that. And it really is hilarious as somebody who's
in the past couple of seasons, you wouldn't even think we're a team because they don't even mention us.
Yeah, as somebody who's watched this team since I've been playing football at 4 or 5 years old, it's crazy to see the amount of fan support that we're actually getting now that we have even a halfway decent team.
Yeah.
So I really hope we can keep it up. And what makes me have promise that we will be able to keep it up is the fact that we did it, to your point, Kyle, through the run game, through the offensive line, defensive line. I feel like those are the biggest factors in football, and we've got those two position, categories.
Well, we actually got an offensive line that can protect the fucking quarterback for a change, number one. Number two, can we just throw a line out to my guy, Sam Laporta? God damn it. I've been saying since week 1, this dude is a dog. And in 2 consecutive weeks, dude, just coming out to play. So I want to get that out there. Shout out to Sam Laporta. I just need the Lions to smash the Steelers since I didn't win no money. Watch, I say that, and that's going to be the one where they slip on the fucking banana peel. Well, dude, you know what else went down yesterday? J-Bone, I know you're going to be the only one out of the other 3 of us who have watched this, so I got to get your quick thoughts, bro. We got competition in the world of wrestling, too, bro. You had NXT versus AEW head-to-head because of the playoffs and all that stuff. I think you and I are both in the same boat that AEW got blown out of the water. But it was good to see Edge on the other TV. The Undertaker coming back out to American Badass and knocking somebody the fuck out. Yeah, dude, it was a good night for wrestling. You got any quick thoughts on the Tuesday Night War right quick?
Man, it was fun, but it wasn't competition at all. We've seen the ratings, we've seen the numbers. It was good to watch. It was a lot of fun, but man, did they stack up NXT Mania, right? Jesus.
I don't know. That's a good name for it.
No counter programming my ass, bro. You put John Cena, LA Knight, The Undertaker, Paul Heyman, Jade Cargill all on one show, and it's not
Solo.
And this is your
LA Knight.
This is and this is your off brand, your third brand. Come on, dude. We know what you were doing. that was NXT Mania, but it was awesome
Hey,
to watch.
I give Tony Khan credit for trying to like at least half-ass compete by getting the first 30 minutes commercial free like they did, because the match between Danielson and who did Danielson fight again? It was him and oh my god.
See, you see the point here?
Dude, this is why this stuff, dude. I'm drawing a blank, dude, because dude, there was just so much shit. You had to watch it back to back, dude.
That's great.
You gotta love it, dude. I mean, shout out to my buddy Mitch, who was in the building in Kansas City. I heard Taylor Swift didn't come to AEW, but yeah, dude, it was all in all, it was a good night for wrestling. It was good to see the Undertaker back in the ring, and yeah, and Tony Khan's got too much money to know what Tony Khan needs to do with it. Although, shout out to Tony Khan, because his Jacksonville Jaguars are doing better than I expected right now. So, you know, with that said, shout out to their Jaguars. But we'll definitely get a little bit more into NXT versus AEW probably on Thursday's show. But I definitely had to get into that. It was nice to see the buzz for it and that people were actually excited to see that come down there. I think Carmelo Hayes is definitely next up when you've got The Undertaker coming out there. He's got John Cena in his corner. You got Paul Heyman out there. I think it's no secret. Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes are definitely next up for WWE. So definitely,
I can't believe that we literally just sat here and forgot Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson. Like that's.
But that was at Wrestle Dream though, wasn't it?
It's
Hangman. Okay, that's what I got mixed up. It was Swerve. I wanted to say Swerve, but I didn't want to say it wrong
because of the presence of NXT. You see, they're doing something right here, right?
You know who else is doing something right? The Nana dance. Because when I see fucking kids that are cheerleaders doing that shit right now, dude, that shit is money. So shout out to Swerve.
The dance, Kyle. Get up and do
No, you do it first. You know, top rope, catch a vibe, put your foot when you drive, do the deal. But with
not gonna happen.
Yeah, dude. I kind of figured it wasn't gonna happen. But what is gonna happen in the world of MMA is, damn, did we get a shakeup come UFC? And shout out to our sponsors. You know, they're chopping down the competition the UFC is. But if you need to get some trees chopped, if you need to get your wood chipping done, if you need storm cleanup, which if you live in Michigan, it's a good chance you might have gotten one of those in the last few days. Use the links in the comments. Check out Potter's Tree Service. If you're at the local fights, he is one of the guys who's helping us put these fights on. Make sure you check out Potter's Tree Service. If you're in the Michigan area, whether it's the UP, down here, downriver, make sure you check out Potter's Tree Service. Let them know Knockouts at 3 Count sent you. The links are in the description. All right. Without any further ado, man, I mean, damn, the UFC has had quite the shakeup. What are your thoughts on the two new matchups that we see for UFC 294? It is now going to be Volk versus Islam Makhachev 2, and Kamaru Usman is trying to get back on that horse and getting himself in the ring with what might be considered one of the most dangerous men in the UFC right now, and Khamzat Chimaev. What are your thoughts on the mix-up in these fights?
Damn. I love them. It's unfortunate because, you know, I wanted Du Bronx to come back and, you know, get a second chance. But how can you hate a second rematch of Islam and Volk? Like, that was such a close fight. Everyone thought it went two different ways. So that's exciting. And then, honestly, this Usman and Chimaev matchup is way better than the Paula Chimaev matchup. Like,
100%.
Chimaev could have wrestled Paula anyway from Wednesday, and the only way that Paula had a chance is if he caught him and beat him up. So this is a way better matchup. This is going to be an absolute dog. This could be a main event anywhere else. Any other card, I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely could have been. No denying that. I feel like the only reason why we had kind of touched on it before, that this matchup was kind of in rumblings before they announced the Paulo Costa matchup. And I think they wanted to put him in, Costa being, because they wanted him, Khamzat, to get tested against a true 185er.
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like that, to your point, this is the more fanfare, entertaining potential matchup, because Kamaru Usman has much more of a potential to be able to stuff that wrestling than Paulo Costa did. And like I had also mentioned before the show went live, I feel like that fight with Gilbert Burns really showed if you're able to deal with the wrestling a little bit from Kazmat, he's not quite as dangerous maybe on the feet as everybody else thinks. And with the fact that Kamaru Usman was able to knock out Burns on the feet after, you know, not really dealing with any wrestling coming his way, I feel like it's a better matchup, and we may be surprised. I feel like a lot of people are already counting out Kamaru Usman, but I feel like there's more potential in this fight for him than I feel like a lot of people are giving him.
Yeah, he's a former champion, UFC champion. Like, there's more of a chance for him than most people who would go in there with Chimaev. And I would be shocked to believe that he didn't know about this sooner than the public did.
Mm-hmm.
If I was a betting man, which I can't bet anymore, not allowed, it's not in the rules for me, I'd put my money on Kamaru. But that's just me talking shit. I don't know.
Dude, you know there are going to be some crazy ass odds. Matter of fact, let me look right now and see if they got the odds out for this fight.
The immediate opening odds, it was toss up. I mean, it was -110 for both. That was the very first odds. I mean, of course, that shifts by the minute, but I think, like you said, if you're a betting man, this one, you should just take the underdog, whoever it's going to be, because this is one of those fights that it's going to be so highly competitive that it could go either way. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. It just depends on who gets their game plan in line. And Kamaru could definitely shake up the world and show everybody why he's one of the
hell yeah. I'm definitely putting money on Kamaru Usman. Mark my fucking words. Let's go.
What's it at right now?
They're not as bad as what you might think, but it's according to DraftKings, that's what I'm looking. Shit. The fight with Volk and Makhachev is more of a pick'em than that one. You got Volk's a +180 and Makhachev's a -205, and then Chimaev's a -290 and Kamaru's a +235.
Yeah, that's big odds.
I would take that. I would take that.
That's what I just said. I'll take that money for Kamaru Usman real quick.
Dog, man. Smash that dog, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's an interesting fight either way. I hope we can see the best version of Kamaru Usman. Like I had kind of mentioned yet again before we went live, I hope that Father Time hasn't caught up to him too much, and that's not what we've seen in his last couple performances, and it was more just Leon Edwards doing his thing in there.
Well, if you remember, he was beating Leon before.
Yeah, dominating him.
Dominating, yeah. And then the second fight was just, chalk it up to the game, because that would be the only way you could think, Father Time's here. But I was just thinking about that in my head. I was wondering, because, he has been around for a minute. But this game is crazy, dude. Anything can happen.
And then also you got to factor in the fact that he's moving up a weight class in this fight. He may be able to perform at a different level because of not having to cut that weight. I mean, he's looked extremely shredded throughout his whole championship run and stuff like that. But that being said, I mean, if he can kind of bulk up and not have to worry about, putting in those extra sauna sessions and stuff like that, I mean, we might see a different version of Kamaru Usman. And now I feel like he's willing to make that move now that Israel Adesanya is not the champ. It kind of really throws a wrench in that whole mix for him.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll be undersized at 185 though? Do you think, like, against a guy like a Chimaev and stuff like that, even though Kamaru was big at 170, do you think he'll be like super undersized at 185?
Yeah, I mean, against Chimaev, he's going to be, Chimaev's massive. I said to him, and I think he's I forget how tall he is, but just the dude's massive. His shoulders, his arms, everything.
Yeah, man. That fight definitely is interesting to me just because of the dynamics of it, both from a body composition spot, but also like the way that those guys fight. I think in a lot of ways, just looking at this fight from the outside, I think when you have a guy like Kamaru who's known for his wrestling, and obviously Chimaev is known for his wrestling, I think this fight could very well break down to who's going to be able to be cleaner in the striking, be able to implement their striking as much, because I don't know that we'll see somebody be able to dominate in the wrestling. I think if we do, whoever that is going to be the one who wins that fight. but I feel like this fight might end up being on the feet a lot more. We're going to talk about this fight a little bit more next week. So with that said, with who we got in there, who do you got, Chimaev or Kamaru? You said you're going to throw some money on Kamaru, but who do you think's winning?
Oh, I'm not throwing money on anyone.
Not you, but I'm saying it's worth the bet. I'm saying we said it's worth the bet because of the odds. But do you think he's going to win?
You'll get him in trouble.
I know. I had to change that. Fuck. Oh, just throwing it out there. He's not betting. I am betting. All right, I am betting.
Let's see. I'm going to go Kamaru. I think that storylines in my head, Kamaru steps in short notice, beats Chimaev, fights Strickland for the title.
It would be a crazy turnaround.
Right.
I mean, but Kamaru would be the guy to do it. So we're definitely gonna have to wait and see what that happens. And then also, like we said, we now have a change to your 155-pound championship, obviously on real short notice, but we're gonna get Volk and Makhachev too. Now, the fight itself, I'm loving that we're getting to see that. But man, the fact that it's on that short a notice for Volk just makes me wonder, you know, how prepared is he going to be for this? But then again, that kind of goes back to what you were saying with Kamaru. You know, how far out did, you know, I mean, they said the cut with Oliveira just got announced in the last few days, but how long do you think Volk has been on, you know, on the call for that? And with that said, what do you think about this fight?
I mean, I feel like those guys down there, they train nonstop, and just like with us here in Colorado, like, this is a lifestyle. You can't pick and choose when you train and all that. Like, you should be training year-round, nonstop. Obviously, if you have something on the books, you pick up certain aspects. But honestly, I think this is Volk's time. I hate that Islam put out the tweet, "Oh, if you lose, don't use this as an excuse." Well, yeah, motherfucker, you can use this as an excuse. But if he beats you, then what's the excuse, you know? So I'm going to go Volk.
I like it. And I feel like with this fight, the big factor leading into it, right, is that the fact that these guys have now faced each other. They felt each other's strengths. They felt each other's weaknesses. They've felt where they're able to maybe control positions, use their range, what's effective and what's not. Of course, they're going to bring different aspects to the fight. But that being said, they're both essentially taking each other on 10 days, 11 days notice, or whatever the case be. So the alterations might not be as significant as they would have been if it was a full training camp going into this fight.
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like if you look at the way that fight was playing out, Volkanovski had all the momentum later on in that fight. And if that's the case, if we really do kind of skip that feeling out process, it very well might be a Volkanovski night because of that factor alone. The fact that he had not only the momentum, but was able to kind of start to figure out Islam's tendencies and where, yet again, he was strong and where Volk was able to reverse positions, get up, stuff takedowns and all that type of stuff. And I feel like with there not being as much time to alter stuff, I feel like that really leans in Volk's favor.
I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. It all just depends on Volk taking it that short notice, because I feel like Makhachev, to be honest, with him being ready to fight Oliveira, I think he knew he was going to have a much tougher fight against Oliveira this time. And so I would imagine that Islam is ready to go. It just matters how much, you know, and then again, I would imagine that this is a fight that Volk has kind of had burned on the brain ever since the first fight happened. So that said, I would be surprised, like you said, if that wasn't something that they were training for also on the back burner as well, just in case there came up another spot like this. Because remember, after the first time they fought, a lot of people were saying that if Volk went back out there and smashed the next person he fight at 145, that they were already kind of hinting and playing around like they were going to run this fight back anyway. So I got to imagine to some degree that Volk kind of has always had this fight back in there. I think Volk has just as good a chance as anyone to beat Makhachev. The question to me again, I think, is going to be how ready for him is he on 11 days notice. But hey man, if the first fight's any indicator to how that went, I'm down to ride with Volk on that one. But boy, it's crazy because we were talking about Bellator and the people that they could get there. Usman Nurmagomedov fighting on that card, and then seeing what Makhachev's doing. Dude, it's just so wild how like the Dagestan wrestlers at this point have just like come in this bitch and put a chokehold on the UFC and MMA as a whole. When you consider just the way around, it's like that style that they got coming out of that camp with Khabib and them, bro, is just
It's wild, dude.
It's something to fuck with. And that's what's so crazy with Usman is that he can strike too and then stop you from taking him down. So it's like, man, I think whoever it is, whether it's Islam, whether it's Usman, whether it's Khabib we're talking about, whatever, I think getting a dub against any of those guys right now is going to be a very hard thing to do. I got a couple more fights that I wanted to ask your thoughts on because it's been pretty much said that it's a lock that both Tyson Fury is going to get ready to fight Ngannou here, and it also says that him and Usyk have signed. So with that being said, what are your thoughts on Ngannou and Fury, and how do you think stuff shakes out for Fury and Usyk?
I hope Ngannou makes $1 million. I hope he makes $1 billion. I think that Tyson Fury is too good. He's too good, too big, too fast. And it's boxing. It's crazy. I go Tyson. I didn't know that he signed to fight Usyk. That's interesting. I hope it goes through. I hope Ngannou and Tyson actually do fight. That would be awesome to watch. But yeah, I go Tyson.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a slap in the face to the Ngannou camp because that fight's already scheduled. That one's, I believe, the 28th. It's if I'm not mistaken, it's the day before my birthday. So that one's already, you've seen the hype trailers and stuff that they're putting out and stuff, and they're doing a good job with that stuff. But it's kind of like, we think we're going to run through you so easily that we're going to actually schedule the boxing heavyweight, lineal title matchup that everybody in boxing is hoping for.
Which could very well be his last fight too, just for the record. This is like the last guy for him to clean out too.
It would be so hilarious to the boxing world if Ngannou just throws a huge giant right hand into the mix of that whole thing. But that being said, to your point, it's hard to beat Fury in boxing, man. But we've seen Deontay Wilder land shots on him and knock him down in the past. So it's not like it's something that you can't do.
Can shots be landed? Yes, but can Ngannou even really box as good as Deontay Wilder too?
Probably not.
That's why I'm saying, you're saying Wilder landed shots, but I don't think that Ngannou's landing the same shots.
Well aware. I'm just pointing out the fact that it has happened before. It wouldn't be necessarily new ground,
It would sure make for some shit for us to talk about. That's for sure.
For sure.
The other fight that makes for us to talk about now that since we were talking about this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too, so I'll ask you that as well. Now that we've heard that Conor McGregor is supposedly supposed to be back in the USADA pool, and they're talking about this Conor and Chandler fight, it's also been said that USADA and the UFC are going to be done coming soon. So with that said, let me ask you that on both sides of that question. What are your thoughts on the UFC and USADA situation? And what do you think about Conor Chandler? Do you think it's going to happen? And what are your thoughts on it?
First question, you're going to see jacked Josh eventually. No more USADA. So normally what's in my body is THC and acai, but hey, I don't know. I would assume that they're going to move to WADA or something, because when you look at it, no major sports organization actually uses USADA. So I think that's just moving to a different third party. I don't think that we're going to go back to the old days where they had their own secretive thing where, Tito is running around juice to the gills or things like that. But we'll see. We'll see. Second one, I hope it happens. Everyone hopes Conor McGregor fights again, but we'll see. Until papers sign, we'll see.
My big question with this whole USADA news and stuff, and I was going to word this because that was my biggest, I feel like, news that's came out. I mean, the fight stuff is huge and it has huge ramifications for a bunch of divisions and stuff like that. But this USADA news, that's huge for athletes like you and for everybody under the roster. I mean, are you one of those guys that's dealt with any of the horror stories that we hear of, like knocking at the door at 5:30 in the morning or anything like that?
Yeah, I've been woken up at 5 in the morning. I've been woken up at 6. I've been woken up at 7. I've been woken up at fucking 10 o'clock at night when I'm getting ready to go to bed. Like, it is what it is. I don't really care as long as, I'm competing against guys who are clean and, to much as Vail. I don't know if anyone I've ever fought has juice before or not. So they've all been clean, so cool with me. I want a level playing field, and by level playing field is if they're juicing, I should be allowed to as well. But then again, I wouldn't even know where to begin. So
what do they do
just
when
watch
they actually
Pride? They might tell you
when they actually come to your door, like, "Hey, piss here." Like, is that how it goes? Like, wipe your eyes real quick and just start pissing. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell happened?
The reps that I've been with have been super cool. At the time, they were very cordial with my girl. They were very cordial with my dogs. Like, they weren't pushy. The guy that I had is super cool. The chick that came through, she was cool. I'm also a believer that as long as you're not an asshole, people won't be an asshole to you. Mm-hmm. So I've had nothing but good experiences with mine. So I have nothing negative.
I always pictured it like when the cops kick in the door and just like tear all your shit apart. Put your hands behind your back and whip it out.
Piss in a cup now.
Nah, it's usually just like, "Hey, Josh, I'm here. Pull your dick out." I'm like, "All right." A bit early. Let me wake up a bit.
All right.
Hell yeah, man. Well, fuck. I feel like we've covered most all of the bases on this one. So before we let you get out of here, we've already talked a little bit about your match at 24/7 championship fighting and all that stuff. What are some of the other things that you're looking forward to anybody else who might be making the trek out there to Pittsburgh?
Let's see. It's a bye week, I believe. No, it's an away game, so no Steelers game. Honestly, I'm excited to go to this sick little spot in Shady Side. It's called a Honey Grow. Absolutely amazing stir fry, spicy noodles. It's going to be amazing. Come check out 247. I've never competed with them. They tried to get me a couple times before my LFA days, but I hear nothing but great things. Just if you're in the area, come through. After I go out here and hopefully win. We have a beer. We have a good night down in Pittsburgh.
Hell yeah, man. You heard it. There might be a lot of black and yellow, even though them bastards done cost me some money. It's hopefully it goes well for our guy Josh Fremd in Pittsburgh. Like I said, my man, anything else? That last question for you on that one with what we were talking about. Obviously, the last fight didn't go the way you wanted to see. Do you have any designs on who you'd like to see next in the UFC cage?
I don't care. I just want to get back to I'm back to the drawing board. I'm back at the gym. I want to get after it, get better. I don't care who they put in front of me. Besides one person who is absolute trash, I fought some really tough guys in the UFC, and that's all I want to do is I want to go out there and I want to fight tough guys. I want to fight on the big cards. UFC Noche was a big card. I got to fight T-Mobile Arena. I'm just checking off bucket list type shit in my life, I made it here. No one thought I would. I didn't even know if I actually would, so I'm glad. I'm happy. I just want to go out there and show people that I belong, and I still have a lot to show. So
I don't know, boys. I feel like that puts a bow on it. Make sure you check it out. 24/7 championship fighting. Make sure you check it out. Pittsburgh in the area. We've also got our homie, the Savage Gentleman, Victor Benjamin, going to be stepping inside the cage with another past guest of the show, Garrison Creed, with our guy Bulletproof Troop in his corner. So I'm just saying, somebody's lights might be going out. So until the next time and in between time, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You never know who's coming through here. I got to meet with Bruce Buffer tomorrow, so who knows? Maybe there'll be some new shit on Thursday. That being said, peace.